Today we're reviewing the Instax Mini 70. Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today we are reviewing the Instax Mini 70. I am very into photography and I've always been interested in instant film, which includes things like Polaroids and Instax cameras. So for those of you that don't know, instant film is where you load a certain camera with packages of film and it prints out an image for you. There's no digital copy of it usually. Some instant film cameras, I know some higher up in the Instax line will store a digital file of that image. However, most instant film cameras will just print out an image, you watch it develop. It's super fun to do, and I think that it provides a cool look to photos. So I recently purchased the Instax Mini 70. I got the green color, the starter bundle from Amazon. When I purchased it, it was $68 for the green Instax Mini 70, which also came with this wrist strap and a pack of 10 rainbow film cartridges. So looking at the camera, looking at the front, we have the lens here, which when you turn it on, protrudes, as you will, from the camera. You have a selfie mirror here for when you're trying to line up a selfie. These two little holes here are your light sensors, so they'll read the lighting conditions to determine whether or not the flash will go off. This is the lens, just some writing here. Here you have the viewfinder, which I'll talk about later. This is a flash. This is the flash. And then this, I believe, lights when you're using the self timer. And then right here is the shutter release button. And this is the green color. Okay, moving on to the back of the camera. Here you have some various buttons. If you can see, some various buttons here, and then a small display. So the first mode you have here is selfie mode, and this will alter the focal length of the camera so that it's optimal for a selfie. Here you have the self timer mode, which I believe goes for 10 seconds. Don't fully trust me on that. You might want to look that up. I personally haven't used the self timer yet, but I believe it does go for 10 seconds. And then here we have the mode button. So our first mode, when you click that mode button, is macro mode. So when using macro mode, you can get closer to your subject than you would if you're not using it. So if you're getting fairly close to your subject, use macro mode. A thing to note when you're using macro mode is when you're looking through the viewfinder, there is a dot or circle in the center. When you're in macro mode, you frame your image using the left corner of the viewfinder. So that white circle will now become the top right corner of your image. So always keep in mind when you're using macro mode. I've made mistakes before using macro mode. I don't frame my image right, and then I'm like, oh yeah, use the white circle. So that's how you frame it for macro mode. But it makes sure that the focal point is closer to you, so that way it's in focus. Our next mode we have here is landscape mode, and that's when you're very far away from your subject, like if you're taking a picture of a mountain that's far away, and it basically just focuses on anything to infinity, really. So it's a nice mode to know. Here we have the force flash mode. The flash will automatically go off no matter what mode it's in if it thinks it's needed based on the light sensor. However, you can force the flash. I don't think I'm ever going to use this setting because I don't use flash photography, but if you do, that setting is there. You also have high key mode. High key mode just brightens up the entire photo. So if you know it's going to be dark and maybe you don't want to use flash, you can use high key mode. High key mode is also used a lot for portraits, so skin will be brighter. And those are all your modes. Here you have the power button. When it's off, the lens stays in. or you can click the power button and the lens pops out. Okay, so moving on to the rest of the camera here, you have this little port here where the film will come out. Make sure that when you're taking a photo that your finger isn't over it. When you're taking a horizontal photo and you're holding it like this, just make sure that your finger isn't resting over it, because that can mess up the camera or the photo if you're blocking the film when it's coming out. Here on the side you have the viewfinder. Right below it you have this bubble, and that's where you put your batteries. It takes 2 CR2 batteries. They're not too hard to find. You can order them from Amazon for really cheap, or if you really want to get them fast, you can go and find them in most stores. However, they are more expensive, but they do than regular batteries or online, but they do last a long time. So that's that. I don't have any film in, so I'll show you this, but this is the film door. Film goes here. You have a little slider thing on the edge here for film. So when you're loading film, I don't have any film to show you, but when you're loading film, there's a little yellow dot here. I don't know if you can see it, but there's a little yellow dot, yellow tab there. There's a yellow dot on the film thing, so you just slide the film in so that the yellow dots line up, and then you're good to go. Once you close this and you have film in, do not open it again until you are finished. There'll be a little counter that shows up here in the corner of the film, and then when you take a shot, it'll just come up from here. Now, moving on to film. So, film comes in little boxes like this. You can get them in packs of 10 or packs of 20 or multi-packs. Packs of 20 are really good for just a small amount to get started with. This pack came with the camera. It's rainbow. They also have other specialty types of film. When you're storing your film, make sure it's in someplace cool but not too cold. You don't want it too hot. Have very sensitive chemicals in this film that you don't want to expose to extreme temperatures. So that's the film. Note when you're loading the film, the first image you take will not be an actual image. It's something called a dark slide. So this is covering your film to protect it from light. So when you first put your film cartridge in, take a photo. It won't be a photo. This will just eject, take it out, and then you're ready to go. So moving on to the pictures themselves. This is an example of when flash went off. So I had my cat here. This also was in macro mode, so I framed it based off the left corner of the viewfinder. It's really dark in the background because the flash went off, but I do really like how this picture turned out. So that's that photo. Another thing to keep in mind here, I took this cool photo of these flowers I had outside. However, when the film came out, I accidentally touched it. As you can see, these are finger marks. If you touch the film when it's first coming out of the camera, pressure can activate this error. And so it created these 2 light streaks across the film. So don't touch it when it comes out. When it comes out, it's going to pop out of the camera this way, and it'll stick right here. Grab it from right here, and that's the only place you can hold it. Also, when you're using film, especially this film, do not shake it. I know all the songs say, shake it like a Polaroid picture. You do not want to shake this film. It'll mess up the chemicals. Just sit still and watch it develop. Also, if you're not in direct sunlight, it's perfectly fine to just leave it out while it's developing. You don't have to hide it or stuff it under your shirt to keep it dark. It's perfectly fine if this is out in light when it's developing. This is a problem I had. I took a photo of a candle. It was really bright, however, so it left this streak across. So if you're taking a photo of anything too bright, it might leave a glare across the lens, which creates this effect. This is another example of macro mode. So this is a porcelain parakeet that I have hanging in my room, and it kind of shows you the range of color this has. I really like how it turned out. Keep in mind shadows and framing your photo. So this example is a 2-part example. This is the same subject shot at the same time of day. Both of these are shot in regular mode, not macro. So I noticed with this camera that it suffers from parallax error. So if you don't know what parallax error is, it's when your viewfinder does not show you exactly what you're getting from the lens. Now, if you're using a DSLR camera, the viewfinder, you're seeing the image bounced out of the lens onto mirrors into the viewfinder. So what you see is what you get. However, on this camera, the viewfinder just goes straight through, and as you can see, it's not where the lens is. So it has pretty bad parallax error. So when you're framing your image, you want to take your photo, and right before you take it, I would move it over just a bit so you got what you see in here. That's what I did with these two images. This was the first one I took. And when I was framing the image, I thought this was in the exact center of my photo. It came out. It was not. So the next time around, I framed it, shifted a little bit, and it turned out perfect. So that's just something to keep in mind. Overall, I really like the quality of this camera. It is plastic, but it feels high quality. I would definitely recommend it, especially if you want to get into instant film because it wasn't too expensive. And I really like the look of instant film. I hope this review was helpful. So if you are interested in getting one of these cameras, I would totally recommend it. I'd look on Amazon. They're super cheap. I highly recommend this model, and I'll see you guys next time. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe and comment in the comment section below if you have any ideas for future videos. Bye!